Om Gyanantimirandasya Gyananjala-shalakaya Chakshuranmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Shri Chaitanya Manovirtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Tadamayam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Padakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagajatam Sagana Raghunatam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Saitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padam Sahagananda Shri Vishakam Hey Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostate Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindaveshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Panchakalpatarubhyasya Kripasindu Evacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasati Gaura Bhaktavrinda Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Om Gyanam. No, so we've done that. Namayom Vishnu Padaya Krishna Pristaya Bhutale Srimate Krishna Das Swami Namine Namayom Vishnu Padaya Krishna Pristaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Namine Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Prachari Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschati Satarini Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Gurudev ki jai. So today we wanted to do an overview of the first chapter. So we'll make a start on, we'll spend about 10-15 minutes doing a quick overview of the chapter 1, after which we will read the Sanskrit and the English translations of chapter 1. And then at the end, so then we'll look at the lessons that we can take away from chapter 1 of the Bhagavad Gita, followed by questions and answers. So an overview, there's 5 sections basically to chapter 1. There's 46 verses. And the first verse is a very, very interesting verse because there Dhritarashtra is asking. Actually, let's just tell you, the first is where Dhritarashtra asks about the situation at the Kurukshetra, the place of battle. And then there's a little bit of diplomacy that is invoked by Duryodhana, who is the son of Dhritarashtra, and the party that really represents wrong in this, this arena. And then there's indications of how this battle is going to go. The signs of victory, who they belong to. And then there's an observation where Arjun asks the Lord to view the army much closer than he was. So he wanted to take, he asked Krishna to take the chariot into the middle of the battlefield. And then Arjun's reasoning, what he saw in front of him and what realizations he suddenly had, and then him wanting to actually give up the fight. So let's look at that in a little bit more detail. Summary of verse 1. Basically, the king, Dhritarashtra, who is the blind king, He's not in the battlefield. He's in the palace in Hastinapur, some 100 kilometers away from Kurukshetra, the battlefield. And he asks Sanjay for help because he's blind. Although he's the king actually meant all-knowing, but he was blind, so he was handicapped in quite a severe way. But he knew that Sanjay had access to knowledge through his guru, who was Vyasadev. Vyasadev had given him the ability to see what was happening 100 miles away, 100 kilometers away. And Dhritarashtra called the place Dharamkshetra, religious place, knowing that he and his sons are irreligious. So he is anxious to know what's happening on the battlefield. This verse is very, very significant. And when we read it, we may have a quick word about it at that time. Now, we won't go into the lesson, but the king is being very humble in one sense, because he's asking his charioteer, if you like, for assistance here. And that's quite significant. We'll see that in the lessons later. So this is the king. This is Sanjay. He's got the vision of what is happening in the battle. So it's interesting transaction going on here really, between the two. Then summary of the next 10 verses from 2 to 11. Now this is where Duryodhana is he's busy counting his army, comparing it and his strength to that of the Pandavas. And he knows that Bhishma is essentially a righteous person, but he's unwillingly fighting on his behalf, on his side. So he wanted to enthuse him. He wanted to inspire him, if you like, or even check him out, what his reaction is to what he's going to say. Duryodhana, of course, is somewhat blinded by greed, envy, and material desire. And so he is basically saying to Bhishma, as we'll see when we're reading through, he's counting on who's on his side. And he's saying the side of Bhim is very, very limited compared to ours, which is protected by yourself and Dronacharya. To some degree, he was correct, because Bhishma was probably the most powerful warrior on this battle, because he had this boon that he could choose his moment of death. So he had some confidence in the ability of Bhishma. He just didn't have the confidence in his loyalty. Although he was fighting, Bhishma was fighting on Duryodhana's side, he was still a little doubtful about his complete loyalty. One who is materially entangled in I, me, and my becomes oblivious to the ill effects of one's actions, and anxiety, frustration, and disappointment are inevitable. So we'll pick that up a little bit later. So that's the diplomacy side. And then we have the signs of victory. Now, despite Duryodhana's boastful words, the ominous result of this confrontation is made clear from the outset. They start to blow conches. That's how they began the war. And when Krishna blew his conch, which is called the Ananta Vijaya.
No, Panchajanya.
Panchajanya, yeah, thank you. Ananta Vijaya was the Yudhishthira's one, yeah? Mm. Yeah. And Arjun also blew his conch. It actually broke the hearts of the Kauravas. So these were very powerful messages to the Kaurav side, like, you're in for a really tough time now. So these 7, 8 verses describe that aspect of the Bhagavad Gita, with the blowing the beautiful conches, the sound amazing, and literally shattered the hearts of the Kauravas. Then we have the observation. Arjun, he wants to take a final look. Who's come to fight in this horrible war? So he orders Krishna. Now, Krishna, this is the most amazing thing about the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Showing his humility, showing his love for his devotees. He's willing to do anything for his devotees. He's even willing to become a charioteer. Now, to become a charioteer is pretty tough thing to do, because how does the chariot driver pass the messages to a chariot? He can't shout. There's too much going on. And he can't shout because by the time he's said it, it's too late. So his instructions are given by feet, by his feet. He kicks the charioteer. If he wants to go right, he'll kick the chariot on that side. The chariot has to move that way quickly. So this is what was going on between Krishna and Arjuna. He would instruct him in this battle through kicking him. He's kicking the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And the Lord is accepting those kicks as in a very affectionate way. So this is the beauty of the Lord and how he deals with his devotees with so much affection and love. Even he would take a task on which he shouldn't take on because he's a Supreme Lord. But he does it to please his devotees. So he asked him, take the chariot into the middle of the battlefield so that he can assess the situation. Now Krishna, he takes Arjuna right in front of Bhishma. So he takes him into the middle of the battlefield, right in front of his greatest challenge, Bhishma, because Arjuna loved Bhishma, his grandfather, very, very, very much. There was a lot of affection between them. Arjuna was just a very lovable person. He was Dronacharya's favorite student, but he was also a favorite grandchild of Bhishma. And Krishna, he didn't beat about the bush. He could have taken him in front of Shakuni, and immediately Arjuna would have said, okay, let's fight now. But he took him in front of Bhishma, his greatest weakness, if you like. And then we have the final section, the fifth part. Foreseeing the imminent suffering and death that is inevitable consequence of war, Arjuna began to analyze his predicament. At this stage, bereft of broad spiritual vision, he became bewildered. In fact, Arjuna is a pure devotee of Sri Krishna. And when Krishna is present, when sunlight is present, there's no question of darkness. So when Krishna is present, there's no question of darkness, unless Krishna wants to put you in that darkness to deliver a greater spiritual message. And this is what's happened. Arjuna, a self-realized soul, the pure devotee of Krishna, was put under illusion by Krishna. This is not ordinary illusion. This is Krishna's own illusion. So this is not Maya as we know it. We are under Maya because we've forgotten Krishna. But Arjuna never forgets Krishna, and Krishna can put him under a bewildering situation if he wants, in order to deliver a more significant message to the world, which he has exactly done here. So he's looking at the other side and he's thinking, it is so cruel and heartless to terminate the lives of so many people. There were millions of people in this battlefield. He felt great compassion. This is a good sign for a devotee, actually, compassion. He was thinking also that if we win, where's the happiness anyway? Because our near and dear ones are no longer with us. If we lose, we lose. But even if we win, where is the enjoyment going to be? Where is the happiness going to be? Fair point. Next point was, surely we're going to incur a lot of bad karma by this action of violence that we're going to commit. So that's another reason he gave. And then finally, he talked about the destruction of the family, how the traditions will be destroyed. The wholesale killing involved will destroy the family unit, the social structure, all the traditions that have been established, causing havoc for future generations. Another fair point. And he resolves not to fight. Now, in this whole chapter, Krishna perhaps spoke once, simply saying, behold, the Kurus in front of you. It wasn't much more than that. He remained silent while Arjuna was making up his mind and his decision. Okay, so let's go to the actual Bhagavad Gita, and let's, where is it? Yep, okay, thank you. We can actually make a start on the verses. So first we'll read this, Puna Mataji, she's a really amazing personality, and I'm so happy she's with us. She'll read the Sanskrit and we'll read the English translation only. There is a purport which follows by Srila Prabhupada, and these purports are important to read, but for the sake of time, we're not going to read them on this occasion, but maybe we'll do another session after we finish all these chapters, this Bhagavad Gita once, we can go through the purports. So Puna Mataji, please take it away.
Dharmakshetre Kurukshetre Samaveta Mamakaha Pandavaschaiva Kimakurvata Sanjaya.
Dhritarashtra said, "O Sanjay, after my sons and the sons of Pandu assembled in the
in the place
of pilgrimage at Kurukshetra, desiring to fight, what did they do?"
Now, it's so nice to see Shavi there. Now, I must inform devotees that Shavi is the daughter of Puna, and she knows by heart chapters 12 and 15, and she would recite them for us every single night during the month of Pushottam and Damodar. And she really won our hearts over. And I was saying earlier that every time we don't see you, we miss you so much. So it's so nice to see you today. Thank you very much, Shavi. So the purport.
The translation, Prabhuji. Oh, sorry.
Sorry?
I wanted to read the translation if possible.
Oh, yes. Okay. Very good. Happy for that. Happy for that. Yes. So you can see quite a bit of a purport here. And Prabhupada's explaining the word Dharamkshetra. He's explaining what that means. So it's important to go to this, and we will touch on it a little bit later.
Sanjaya Uvacha Drishtva tu Pandavanekam Vyudham Duryodhanastada Acharyam Apasangamya Raja Vachanam Abravit.
Sanjaya said, "O king, after looking over the army arranged in military formation by the sons of Pandu, King Duryodhan went to his teacher and spoke the following words.
Yeah.
Pashyetam Panduputranam Acharya Mahati Chumam Vyudham Drupada Putrena Tava Shishyena Dhimata.
O my teacher, behold the great army of the sons of Pandu, so expertly arranged by your intelligent disciple, the son of Draupad.
And just for the devotees' knowledge, the way Puna Mataji is reading it is very good, it's very accurate pronunciation. So sometimes we can not pronounce, the words properly, but these pronunciations are so nice. So, and we're recording this, so you will have access to her recording.
Patra Shura Maheshwasa Bhimarjuna Samayudhi Yuyudhano Viratascha Drupadascha Maharatha.
Here in this army are many heroic bowmen, equal in fighting to Bhim and Arjun, great fighters like Yuyudhan, Virat and Drupad.
Drishtaketushcha Kitanaha Kashirajascha Viryavan Purujit Kunti Bojascha शैब्यश्च नरपुङ्गवः.
There are also great
Heroic.
heroic, powerful fighters like
Drishtaketu,
Tishtaketu,
Chakitan,
Chakitan,
Kashiraja,
Kashiraja,
Purujit,
Purujit,
Kunti Bhoj.
Kunti Bhoj, and Shaibya.
Good. So there you go. He's counting the other side's army, Pandava's army.
दामन्युश्च विक्रान्त उत्तमौजाश्च वीर्यवान् सौभद्रौ द्रौपदेयाश्च सर्व एव महारथः.
There are the mighty Yudhamanayo, the very powerful Uttamaja, the son of Subhadra, and the sons of Draupadi. All these warriors are great chariot fighters.
अस्माकं तु विशिष्टाये तान्निबोध द्विजोत्तम नायका मम सैन्यस्य संज्ञार्थं तान् ब्रीविमिते.
But for your information, the best of the Brahmanas, let us tell you about the captains who are especially qualified to lead my military force.
भवान् भीष्मश्च कर्णश्च कृपश्च समितिञ्जयः अश्वत्थामा विकर्णश्च सोमदत्तिस्थ एव च.
There are personalities like you, Bhishma, Karna, Karma, Kripa, Ashwatthama, Vikarna, and the son of Somodatta, called Purishvara, who are always victorious in battle.
अन्ये च बहवः शूरा मदर्थे त्यक्तजीविताः नानाशस्त्रप्रहरणाः सर्वे युद्धविशारदाः.
There are many other heroes who are prepared to lay down their lives for my sake. All of them are well equipped with different kinds of weapons and all are experienced in military science.
अपर्याप्तं तदस्माकं बलं भीष्माभिरक्षितं पर्याप्तं त्विदमेतेषां बलं भीमाभिरक्षितम्.
Our strength is immeasurable, and we are perfectly protected by Grandfather Bhishma, whereas the strength of the Pandavas, carefully protected by Bhim, is limited.
So this is where he is counting his, what they say, how do they say that? He's counting his luck, really, that, our strength is far greater than that of the Pandavas. And he's saying to Bhishma that he's giving an indication to Bhishma that we have unlimited strength here. So don't be disloyal to me.
अयनेषु च सर्वेषु यथा भागमवस्थितः भीष्ममेवाभिरक्षन्तु भवन्तः सर्व एव हि.
All of you must now give full support to Grandfather Bhishma as you stand at your respective strategic points of entrance into the phalanx of the army.
As long as Bhishma is not defeated, they can't lose.
तस्य सञ्जनयन हर्षं कुरु वृद्धः पितामह सिंहनादं विनोद्यैचे शङ्खं दद्मो प्रतापवान्.
Then Then Bhishma, the great valiant grandsire of the Kuru dynasty, the grandfather and of the fighters, blew his conch shell very loudly, making a sound like the roar of a lion, giving Duryodhana joy.
ततः शङ्खाश्च भैर्यश्च प्रणवान् खगोमुखः सहसैवाभ्यहन्यन्त सशब्दस्तु मुलोऽभवत्.
After that, the conch shells, drums, bugles, trumpets, and horns were all suddenly sounded, and the combined sound was tumultuous.
ततः श्वेते रहैर्य महति स्यन्दने स्थितो माधवः पाण्डवश्चैव दिव्यो शङ्खो प्रदुग्मतुः.
On the other side, both Lord Krishna and Arjuna, stationed on a great chariot drawn by white horses, sounded their transcendental conch shells.
पाञ्चजन्यं ऋषिकेशो देवदत्तं धनञ्जयः पौण्ड्रं दद्मुः महाशङ्खं भीमकर्मावृकोदरः.
Lord Krishna blew his conch shell called Panchajanya. Arjuna blew his, and Devadatta and Bhim, the ferocious eater and performer of Herculean tasks, blew his terrific conch shell called Poundra.
This Panchajanya is very famous conch shell, and it's very, very powerful. You can see the purport is quite large here as well. Quite long rather. Oh, okay.
अनंत विजयं राजा कुंती पुत्रो युधिष्ठिरः नकुलः सहदेवश्च सुघोषमणिपुष्पकौ काश्यश्च परमेश्वासः शिखण्डी च महारथः दृष्टद्युम्नो विराटश्च सात्यकीश्चापराजितः द्रुपदौ द्रौपदेयाश्च सर्वशः पृथिवीपते सौभद्रश्च महाबाहुः शङ्खदद्मुः पृथक् पृथक्.
King Yudhishthir, the son of Kunti, blew his conch shell, the Ananta Vijaya, and Nakul and Sahadev blew the Shugoshna and Manipushpak. The great archer, the king of Kashi, the great fighter, Shikhandi, Drishtadhumya, Virata, the unconquerable Satyaki, Draupad, the sons of Draupadi, the others, O king, such as the mighty armed son of Subhadra, all blew their respective conch shells.
That mighty armed son is very famous.
घोषोधार्तराष्ट्राणां हृदयानि व्यधारयत् नमश्च पृथिवीं चैव तुमुलोऽभ्यनुनादयन्.
The blowing of these different conch shells became uproarious, vibrating both in the sky and on the earth. It shattered the hearts of the sons of Dhritarashtra.
Shatters the heart of the sons of Dhritarashtra. This is a sign that they're going to lose.
अथ व्यवस्थितान् दृष्ट्वा धार्तराष्ट्रान् कपिध्वजः प्रवृत्ते सम्पाते तनुरुद्यम्य पाण्डवः ऋषिकेशं तदा वाक्यम् इदामाहं महीपते.
At that time, Arjuna, the son of Pandu, seated in the chariot bearing the flag marked with Hanuman, took up his bow and prepared to shoot his arrows. O king, after looking at the sons of Dhritarashtra drawn in military array, Arjuna then spoke to Lord Krishna these words.
Sorry. They have really important things to tell, in between our sessions. Arjuna Vacha Senayorubhayormadhye Ratham Sthapayamechyuta Yavadetanmiriksheham Yodadhukamanavasthitan Kairmaya Sahayodhavya Masmin Ranasamudyame.
So we can do this one, don't we?
So Arjun said, "O infallible one, please draw my chariot between the two armies, so I may see those present here who desire to fight, and with whom I must contend in this great trial of arms."
Samanan Naveksheham Ya Atetra Samagataha Dhartrarashtrasya Durbuddhe Yuddhe Chikirshavaha.
Let me see those who have come here to fight, wishing to please the evil-minded son of Dhritarashtra.
Sanjay Uvacha Eva Mukto Rishikesho Gudakeshena Bharata Senayorubhayo Madhye Sthapayitva Rathottamam.
Sanjay said, "O descendant of Bharata, having thus been addressed by Arjun, Lord Krishna drew up the fine chariot in the midst of the armies of both parties."
भीष्मद्रोणप्रमुखतः सर्वेषां च महीक्षिताम् उवाच पार्थ पश्येतान् समवेतान् कुरूनिति.
In the presence of Bhishma, Drona, and all the other chieftains of the world, the Lord said, "Just behold, Partha, all the Kurus assembled here."
तत्र पश्यत् स्थितान् पार्थः पितॄनथ पितामहान् आचार्यान् मातुलान् भ्रातॄन् पुत्रान् पौत्रान् सखिंस्तथा श्वशुरान् सहृदयश्चैव सेनयोरुभयोरपि.
There Arjun could see, within the midst of the armies of both parties, his fathers, grandfathers, teachers, maternal uncles, brothers, sons, grandsons, friends, and also his fathers-in-law and well-wishers.
Mm.
तान् समीक्ष्य स कौन्तेयः सर्वान् बन्धुनवस्थितान् कृपया पर्याविष्टो विषीदन्नेदमब्रवीत्.
When the son of Kunti, Arjun, saw all these different grades of friends and relatives, he became overwhelmed with compassion and spoke thus.
Arjun Uvacha Drashtveman Swajanam Krishna Yuyutsum Samupasthitam Sidanti Mama Gatrani Mukham Cha Parishushyati.
Arjun said, "My dear Krishna, seeing my friends and relatives present before me in such a fighting spirit, I feel the limbs of my body quivering and my mouth drying up."
Pathushcha Sharire Me Roha Harshascha Jayate Gandivam stransate hastatva hastatva chaiva paridayate.
My whole body is trembling, my hair is standing on end, my bow Gandiva is slipping from my hand, and my skin is burning.
न च शक्नोम्यवस्थातुं भ्रमतीव च मे मनः निमित्तानि च पश्यामि विपरीतानि केशव.
I am now unable to stand here any longer. I'm forgetting myself and my mind is reeling. I see only causes of misfortune, O Krishna, killer of the Kesi demon.
So he calls Krishna Keshav, killer of the Keshi demon. That's quite significant.
न च श्रेयोनुपश्यामि हत्वा स्वजनमाहवे न काङ्क्षे विजयं कृष्ण न च राज्यं सुखानि च.
I do not see how any good can come from killing my own kinsman in this battle. Nor can I, my dear Krishna, desire any subsequent victory, kingdom, or happiness.
नो राज्येन गोविन्द किं भोगैर्जीवितेन वा येषामर्थे काङ्क्षितं नो राज्यं भोगः सुखानि च त इमेव स्थिता युद्धे प्राणास्त्यक्त्वा धनानि च आचार्याः पितरः पुत्रास्तथैव च पितामहः मातुलाः श्वशुरः पौत्रः श्यालाः सम्बन्धिस्तथा एतान्न हन्तुमिच्छामि घ्नोतपि मधुसूदन अपि त्रैलोक्यराजस्य हेतोः किं नु महि कृते निहत्य धार्तराष्ट्रान्नः का प्रीतिः स्यात् जनार्दन.
O Govinda, of what avail to us our kingdom, happiness, or even life itself, when all those for whom we may desire them are now arrayed on this battlefield? O Madhusudan, when teachers, fathers, sons, grandfathers, maternal uncles, fathers-in-law, grandsons, brothers-in-law, and other relatives are ready to give up their lives and properties and are standing before me, why should I wish to kill them, even though they might otherwise kill me? O maintainer of all living entities, I am not prepared to fight with them, even in exchange for the three worlds, let alone this earth. What pleasure will we derive from killing the sons of Dhritarashtra?
He's got so many names for Krishna. Govinda, Madhusudan, Janardhan, very significant names, affectionate names.
पापमेवाश्रयेदस्मान् हत्वेतानाततायिनः तस्मान्नार्य वयं हन्तुं धार्तराष्ट्रान् सबान्धवान् स्वजनं हि कथं हत्वा सुखिनः स्याम माधव.
Sin will overcome us if we slay such aggressors. Therefore, it is not proper for us to kill the sons of Dhritarashtra and our friends. What should we gain, O Krishna, husband of the goddess of fortune? And how could we be happy by killing our own kinsmen?
Just one second. This is this purport is really interesting. Just very quickly, we touch on it. According to Vedic injunctions, there are 6 kinds of aggressors: a poison giver, which is what they've done. They've tried to poison Beam. That's right. 2, one who sets fire to the house, which is what they did with the House of Luck. 1 who attacks with deadly weapons. Constantly were doing that. 1 who plunders riches through the gambling and all that matches. 5th is 1 who occupies another's land, which is what they've done. They've taken Khandaprast. 1 who kidnaps a wife, which is what they did through the gambling match again. They took her against the will. So the 6 kinds of aggressors. Such aggressors are at once to be killed according to Vedic injunctions, and no sin is incurred by killing such aggressors. So this is quite interesting.
यद्यप्येते न पश्यन्ति लोभोपहत चेतसः कुलक्षयकृतं दोषं मित्रद्रोहे च पातकम् कथं न ज्ञेयमस्माभिः पापदस्मान्निवर्तितुम् कुलक्षयकृतं दोषं प्रपश्यद्भिर्जनार्दन.
O Janardhan, although these men, their hearts overtaken by greed, see no fault in killing one's family or quarreling with friends, why should we, who can see the crime in destroying a family, engage in these acts of sin?
कुलक्षये प्रणश्यन्ति कुलधर्माः सनातनः धर्मे नष्टे कुलं कृतस्म धर्मोऽभिभवत्युत.
With the destruction of the dynasty, the eternal family tradition is vanquished, and thus the rest of the family becomes involved in irreligion.
Just to repeat that, with the destruction of the dynasty, the eternal family tradition is vanquished, and thus the rest of the family become involved in religion. So this is a reasonable point.
अधर्माभिभवात् कृष्ण प्रदुष्यन्ति कुलस्त्रियः स्त्रिषु दुष्टासु वार्ष्णेय जायते वर्णशङ्करः.
When irreligion is prominent in the family, O Krishna, the women of the family become polluted because the men are crazy, that's why. And from the degradation of womanhood, O descendant of Vishnu, comes unwanted progeny. So interesting points.
शङ्करो नरकायैव कुलघ्नानां कुलस्य च पतन्ति पितरो येषां लुप्तपिण्डोदकक्रियः.
An increase in unwanted population certainly causes hellish life both for the family and for those who destroy the family tradition. The ancestors of such corrupt families fall down because the performances for offering them food and water are entirely stopped.
दोषैरेतेह कुलघ्नानां वर्णसङ्करकारकैः उत्साद्यन्ते जातिधर्माः कुलधर्माश्च शाश्वतः.
By the evil deeds of those who destroy the family tradition and thus give rise to unwanted children, all kinds of community projects and family welfare activities are devastated.
उत्सन्नकुलधर्माणां मनुष्याणां जनार्दन नरके नियतं वासो भवतीत्यनुशुश्रुम.
O Krishna, maintainer of the people, I've heard by dislipic succession that those whose family traditions are destroyed dwell always in hell.
अहो बत महत्पापं कर्तुं व्यवसिता वयं यद्राज्यसुखलोभेन हन्तुं स्वजनमुद्यतः.
Alas, how strange it is that we are preparing to commit greatly sinful acts. Driven by the desire to enjoy royal happiness, we are intent on killing our own kinsmen.
यदि माम प्रतिकारं शस्त्रं शस्त्रपाणयः धार्तराष्ट्रारणे हन्युस्तन्मे क्षेमतरं भवेत्.
Better for me if the sons of Dhritarashtra, weapons in hand, were to kill me unarmed and unresisting on the battlefield.
Sanjay uvacha एव मुक्त्वार्जुनः सङ्ख्ये रथोपस्थ उपाविशत्. Visrujya shasharam chapam shoka samvagnimanasah.
Sanjay said, Arjun, having thus spoken on the battlefield, cast aside his bow and arrows and sat down on the chariot, his mind overwhelmed with grief.
Jai,
Jai,
Bhagavad Gita
Gita
ki
ki
jai, first chapter ki
ki
jai,
jai.
Puna Mataji ki jai.
Jai.
Thank you so much. That was fantastic. Very good. Didn't think we'd actually do it in time, but that was good. Very good. Thank you so much. Beautiful. So we can just go through the lessons and then we'll take questions. Sorry? Oh, yeah. Just wanted to do just a summary of the whole chapter in one go, but how we can link it with us. We have certain picture of success, usually based on our friends, families, society, and media opinions or influence. And we shape our lives in determined pursuance of that. However, at some point, we may begin to doubt whether that perfect life is achievable or will actually make us happy, and question the materialistic goals, aspirations, and milestones of success that have become deeply ingrained within us, practically from birth. Could there be some deeper purpose to life? While this initial doubt can often bring great uncertainty and confusion, it can also bring us to the start of our spiritual journey. It is this very doubt that Arjuna expresses at the onset of this sacred conversation. However, Krishna was silent because Arjuna was not looking for answers from him at this stage. We think we know what we want in order to become happy and simply want the Lord to fulfill our desires. So this sort of sums up how this chapter can apply to us in our lives. Arjun, they were dead set on fighting with the other side, the Kauravas, but then he reevaluated the purpose and he came to a certain conclusion. Again, the Lord was with him, just like the Lord is always with us, but he was silent, didn't guide him at that point. So what are these lessons? So in brief summary, actually 6 lessons. Is when we went through the Gita last time, we took lessons from each chapter. And in fact, this chapter gave us the most lessons from any other chapter. 6 came out of this. Normally it was 3 or 4 lessons. So first chapter is actually very, very important chapter. And we can take a lot away from this chapter. Some people regard that chapter not so important because Krishna didn't speak much in that chapter. But actually, my opinion is it's the most important chapter because it establishes the reason for the Bhagavad Gita. And from just that one chapter, there's so much to learn. That will help us in our lives. First is Dhritarashtra, he seeks help from Sanjay in the first verse. And we all actually need help. We're blinded by Maya. So we are in an inferior position, just like Dhritarashtra was. He couldn't see, but nor can we see. We might be able to have some vision, but our vision is very limited to our bodies and our families, etc., etc. So our vision is covered with material modes of material nature, material influence. So we do need help. And the fact that Dhritarashtra accepted that he needed help, it can also inspire us to seek that same help. We need help as well. We need help from somebody who can see spiritually. And we see that time and time again through the Bhagavad Gita. Second is to lower our expectations. So we'll talk about that in a short while. I'll just give a summary of the lessons first, and then we'll go through each lesson in a little detail. Have this mood of giving rather than taking. So it's another lesson that we get from this chapter. Take time to contemplate. Arjun was in the middle of the battlefield and he took time to contemplate. So we are also in the middle of a battlefield. Sometimes we say to ourselves, I ain't got time to think. But actually, it's important to take time to think and contemplate. Meet our challenges as the Lord is on our side, is by our side. and watch the excuses not to do bhakti. So these are 6 we can go into in some detail. So Dhritarashtra, the first one, we've sort of gone into it in some detail anyway, asked Sanjay for help because he was blind, but he knew Sanjay had access to knowledge through his spiritual master. So the king was aware that the battle was taking place in a holy place and his sons were unholy. He knew deep down. How did he know? Because he was constantly visited by wise people. For example, Vyasadeva himself came and tried to instruct him that you are going down the wrong path. You are led by your sons, but you need to be thinking out of the box and try to make a resolution with the Pandavas. Otherwise, your sons will meet with destruction, and that will be your end as well. So he was very fearful. It wasn't just Vyasadeva who came to him. Even his ancestors used to come to him and they tried to make him understand. But he was so blindly following his sons, even Krishna, yeah, that's a good point. Even Krishna came to him and it's the Supreme Personality of Godhead, but he wasn't prepared to listen even to the Supreme Lord. But now he was fearful because it's the battle. It's actually the time of when his sons can perish. So being blind materially and spiritually, he sought the help of Sanjay to inform him about the battle. We are also blind in terms of spiritual vision and need help. So that's the first step of taking us closer to God realization, to understand that we are without God and we need help. If we don't even recognize that we need help, how are we going to be helped? So the blind Dhritarashtra seeks help from Sanjay. So the next lesson is how Duryodhana was busy counting his army. He first explained that this is the army of the Kauravas, but actually his intention of doing that was to explain to Bhishma that their army is very small, as ours is huge and is protected by you and Dronacharya. There's 2 senior personalities. But he was blinded by greed, envy, and material desire. So one who is materially entangled in terms of I and my and I, me, and my become oblivious to the ill effects of one's actions, and anxiety, frustration, disappointment are inevitable. So what is the second lesson? Well, from our very birth, we generally brought up in a mood of a culture of I and mine from the very beginning of our life. My toys, these are, nobody else can play with them. This is a sort of attitude that we immediately sort of tend to develop. And always having expectations from others. And when those expectations are not met, then that leads to frustration and anger. So we have to learn actually to lower our expectations from others. Inevitably, expectations from others will lead to frustration. We can't demand somebody to love us, right? We can't demand somebody to give us. But nobody can stop us from giving. This is the point, which is also the next one. It's connected to the next one. But lowering our expectations is if we want a peaceful life, free of frustration and anxiety and anger, then we try not to expect anything from others. Hard one, especially if we have parents in this forum who have children. There'll be expectations, of course. Naturally, there'll be expectations. But somehow or other, we have to understand they have their karmas, we have our karmas. And if we are totally independent and reliant on them, we may get heartbroken. So that's just one example. There's many, many examples that we can go through, but we should try to lower our expectations from others. Okay, now despite Duryodhana's boastful words, the ominous result of the confrontation. So this was the third aspect of the chapter. When they were blowing the conches, the hearts of Duryodhana were broken. Being so selfish ends in misery. Compare Duryodhana and Yudhishthir. Right? Duryodhana had a mood of I want, and Yudhishthir was in a mood of I give. There was one time Dronacharya asked Duryodhana and Yudhishthir, he asked Duryodhana, find somebody who's better than you in the kingdom. So Duryodhana went all around the kingdom. He came back to Dronacharya and said, I failed. I can't find anybody better than me. And Yudhishthira was asked a similar question, except the other way around. He said, find somebody worse than you. He went around the kingdom and he said, actually, I find more fault in me than I find in anybody else. So that was his mood, and that was Duryodhana's mood. Taking will not result in happiness, but giving can bring great joy, great satisfaction. We can learn to give. There's many ways we can learn to give. Give with our thoughts. It's said that in our daily minds, 90,000 thoughts, 80,000 thoughts go through our mind every single day. So that's like a lot of thoughts. Most of them are negative. Most of them are negative. Analyze your thoughts sometime. Write them down sometime. And you will find that, thank you, that these thoughts are negative. So turn them into positive thoughts, for starters. When you feel a negative thought coming, turn it into a positive thought. Literally turn it into a positive thought. And later on, we will go through how we do that. Not today, but chapter 6. Our words, we can give appreciation of others and gratitude to others. So important to give gratitude, especially to the Lord, to the parents. We have so many debts to repay. Again, that will be covered in different sections of the Gita. Our actions, we can help others by our deeds, according to our capacity. With our possessions, again, we can help others according to our capacity. These are very important ways that we can give and feel great satisfaction. If we're always in the mood of taking, we're always going to be frustrated because somebody may not give. They may not give their love. They may not give their kindness, their respect. And it's never enough anyway. Yeah, it's never enough. Thank you. But nobody can stop you giving your respect to others. Nobody can stop you being charitable. Nobody can stop you loving others. They may not love you back in return. That's not your problem. Okay. Fourth lesson. Or is it the fifth? Can't remember. Fourth, yeah. Arjun wants to take a final look at the armies. He orders Krishna, the transcendental chariot, to drive in the middle of the battlefield so he can assess the situation, right? What a fantastic lesson to learn. Despite the intensity of the situation, Arjun takes time to reflect. Life may be crammed with responsibilities, pressing issues, but the usual excuse of no time should not impede our soul searching or spiritual activity. Take time to contemplate. Really good message, good lesson. Fifth lesson is when Krishna takes the chariot right in the middle of the battlefield, right in front of Bhishma. So he will bring us to face the challenges we really don't want to face will be right in front of us. But we shouldn't be shaken by those challenges. There's a saying which we went through last time. The more we sweat in peace, the less you bleed in war. I really love this. When we practice bhakti, when the situation is calm and good, then we'll be able to face the challenging situations when they come. So meet our challenges. Don't run away from the challenges. Lord is with us on our side. He'll help us face those challenges. Wonderful lesson, powerful lesson from chapter 1. The final one is a little long, but I'm going to cut to the chase. So the 4 reasons why Arjuna didn't want to fight: compassion, enjoyment, sin, destruction of the family. So we also have the same reasons not to do bhakti, right? They come time and time again. Why can't we do bhakti? Oh, we're too young to do tapasya. We have to have compassion on ourselves and enjoy. Let's wait until we are very close to the door of death, and then we'll take up Krishna consciousness fully. It's not going to happen, right? We're never too young to do bhakti. Second thing, enjoyment. Let me enjoy my senses. Let me have a good time now. Why are you trying to stop me from smoking, drinking, eating all sorts of rubbish, enjoying with the opposite sex? So let me enjoy myself. Well, if we call that enjoyment, then we are under a lot of illusion. Smoking will probably kill us. Drinking will make us go crazy. And gambling, we'll lose everything. So is there enjoyment in any of those? The part about sin, that if we kill these people, we'll incur bad karma. So if we stop worshipping our deities, who we worship forever, the demigods, then we'll be incurring sin. No, nobody's telling you to stop worshipping the demigods. If that's your family tradition, carry on, but add Krishna to your life. That's all. Add Krishna to your life. And the demigods are to be respected. They're great servants of the Lord. They're not to be dishonored. They're to be honored. But our worship, ideally, is exclusive to the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And the final point is destruction of the family. Krishna consciousness is not in my tradition. I follow another religion or another Lord or another way of life. Well, no, that's, again, not good enough reason. What Prabhupada used to say, just add Krishna to your life. Whatever you're doing, just add Krishna to your life. That's all. That's all we say. Don't take anything away, just add him and see what happens to one's life. So also, no time. We will do bhakti when we are old. We will have, we have to be very careful of our excuses, as these may hamper our progress in Krishna consciousness. Watch the excuses not to do bhakti. If we want to find an excuse, Krishna will send so many excuses not to do bhakti. If we want to do bhakti, he will send so many good reasons to do bhakti. So it's all in our consciousness. So it's 8:15 and I wanted to stop there. And if there are any questions, you can put them on the chat or
Put your hand up.
or you can just sound out your questions. We have one already. From Carlos, the more we sweat.
Who said it?
Who said it? It's actually a saying by the Indian Army. It's something that the Indian Army have as their motto. I love that motto, because if we sweat now, work hard now, while perhaps there's a little bit of peace of mind, when the problems, when the difficulties and the challenges come, hopefully our foundation is strong and we'll be able to cope.
Thank you, Prabhuji, for answering that quick question. I had a more elaborate question. Maybe not, you don't have to answer it in today's session, but maybe privately if that's okay. But the golden age, what do you know about this golden age during the Kali Yuga age?
Wow, fantastic question, Carlos. It said that I can give you a brief answer and then we can take it up separately as well. It said that after Chaitanya Mahaprabhu came 500 odd years ago, he appeared in 1486. And Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is regarded to be Krishna himself, none different from Krishna. In fact, he's the combination of Radha and Krishna, really extraordinary extraordinary descent that he came to this world. And he came in a place called Bengal. He came actually hidden as an avatar, is a devotee. He's God, but he came hidden as a devotee. So not many people are aware before, especially before Prabhupada came to this world, of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. But the prophecy is that because of him, from his time up to 10,000 years after he leaves this planet, it's regarded to be the golden age, in this age of Kali Yuga. This age of Kali Yuga is a horrible age. And as we can see, there's horrible things around us, right? There's the virus, there's so much cow slaughter, there's so much grief all over the world. Nuclear weapons are being stockpiled and nerve gas weapons, so many horrible things going on in Kali Yuga. But even within this age of Kali Yuga, there is regarded to be a golden age of 10,000 years. And we're in that golden age of 10,000 years, where it is said Krishna consciousness can be achieved very fast. After this 10,000 years, if you like, religion, especially Krishna consciousness, will go underground. It'll practically disappear from earth. There'll be maybe some isolated personalities who will be practicing it, but it will not be there in any general sense. Whereas now, if you look, the holy name is being chanted in every town and every village. And the Hare Krishnas are very well known throughout the world. And Srila Prabhupada's books are renowned throughout the world, right? Not just read by us, like the common guys, but also the philosophers and the professors. So these books are the law books for the next 10,000 years. And that's what Prabhupada used to say. And this is why this is the golden age, because of Chaitanya and Srila Prabhupada. He's given us these fantastic books. There's a bit more, but that's in essence the golden age. Does that make sense, Carlos?
Yes, Prabhuji, thank you for answering the question.
Thank you for the question. Really nice question. Anybody else? Punamataji?
Yeah. Could you please roll back the slides to lesson 2?
Oh,
I
yeah.
think I had a question there.
Yes, of course. Yes.
Yeah, I mean, there were two things. One was about the, in this materialistic world. I think that was maybe lesson 3 or I guess.
Lesson 3, to give rather than take.
Yeah, that was there. And I think somewhere else also we mentioned about, the perfect time to, I think, attain God or to devote ourselves in Bhakti Marg. But in this materialistic world, when are people going to find time for all these things? I mean,
yes. Yes.
Because there will be some or the other excuse for them.
Yes.
And this another question in that, like I, me, mine. I might be very limited in my observation and my conclusion, but such people are actually, given more importance in our society these days, and such people are thriving much more than the givers or the calmer ones.
Yeah, it's true.
So, what is your take on that?
It's a good questions. You always have very interesting questions. The first one is about the point about no time. It's very true. It's, when we go on the streets, at least this year we haven't yet, but when we go to distribute books on the streets, that's the one common factor that everybody has as an excuse. No time. I've got to go. I've got to go to the bank. I've got to go to work. I've got to do this. I've got to do that. Well, this is the problem with the materialistic society. If we don't have time for spirituality, then we have a basic problem that we are simply behaving like animals. The animals, they eat, they sleep, they mate, they defend. And if that's what we are doing, eating, sleeping, mating, defending, what is going to distinguish us from the animals, right? The only thing that can, and if we look at this earth, we are the only species. If we were not here, this earth would be far better. Any other species, if they were missing, there would be some ecological piece of the puzzle missing. With us, the ecology will be saying, whew, thank God they've gone. So that means we're not going to help the environment. That means we've got a higher purpose. We've got a higher purpose to fulfill. Now, most people, as you said, 99% don't have this concept of self-realization, understanding who am I and why am I in this world? And that is the basic issue. Now, those who do have that concept that I need to realize who I am, but they're still very busy, right, in their materialistic life. Of course, I understand, because they have families, they have work. But because they have this little seed sown into them that there's something more to life than just working, sleeping, mating, defending, I will pursue that in my life. Now, those people, Krishna is in the heart as Paramatma, and he will give them guidance to find the time and the opportunity to serve. So if one has a desire, Krishna fulfills that desire, especially when it's coming to him. So this is a really important question. If one thinks I don't have time, just pray to the Lord. I want to know you. And believe me, he will make time for you to find God. Guaranteed. He's done that with us, both of us. He's given us, the beauty of the Supreme Lord is you give him time and suddenly time comes under your control. Suddenly you've got so much time. You thought before, I don't have time. Hey, where's this time come from? Krishna's giving us time to understand him. Before we didn't have the time, but as soon as we take a step towards God, he gives us the time to understand him. And the other point is me, I, mine, me and mine, and those people who thrive on that. But you've got to remember, this is a rat race, no doubt about it. But even if somebody wins a rat race, they're still a rat. Even if, and probably the biggest rat is Trump, isn't he? I hope this doesn't get leaked out. But anyway, someone like him, right? Me, I, mine. You can see it. You can smell it. Don't have to even think about it too much to know that this fellow is completely ingrained in that concept of life. And he may be the president. So what? Big deal. Nehru was the president or prime minister, first prime minister of India. When he died, the astrologers in India, in Bharat, they looked at his chart. The moment he died, how he died, where he died, and they calculated his next life is in Sweden as a dog. So if we take one life in isolation, fair enough. Somebody may live in that way and may thrive in that way. We know this question is asked often. Why do bad things happen to good people, or good things happen to bad people, right? This is a very common question. It so leads on to from your question. Well, it may well be somebody who's really crazy or really sinful. A lot of good things are happening to him, but that's because of his past good karma. He's enjoying the fruits of that in this life. But now he is incurring so much bad karma. In the future, in his next life, perhaps, he may see the impact of that hitting him. And we can often see it in our own lives. I've been very fortunate. I've done some really crazy things in my life. And I've had the karmic reaction of that immediately. And I'm very grateful to the Lord because I did wrong and I got punished. I could understand why I was being punished. And that made me even more faithful and more understanding of karma and the Lord's mercy. But sometimes people get carried away and when things don't stop them, and because they're succeeding in their lives on that basis of I, me, and mine, thinking that this is the only way to live. But actually, that's only part of the story. Because in the next life, or maybe even towards the end of this life, they'll see the negative reactions come from their behavior. Does that make sense, Punamalaji?
Along with this, the past karma, or how it catches up with us. I also feel, that karma catches up with us in this very life.
It
You
can.
know, yeah, because I don't have that waking memory of what I was in the past or what mistakes I did in the past. But if we look at the life cycle, we can definitely see our karma catches up with us. If we have been, if we have been good, there will be, there might be periods of testing, there might be periods of challenges, but the good will follow, and the vice versa. So though it is said that like in the past births or past karma, but at least in Kali Yuga, I feel karma catches up with us in the same lifetime itself. So we better watch
can.
out.
Yeah, it can, but it doesn't have to, because karma is extraordinarily complex. And to analyze karma, we'll see it in chapter 4. Krishna says to Arjun, don't even try to understand the intricacies of karma. It's beyond anybody. Even Krishna has to think when he's asked a question from Dhritarashtra, why did I have to suffer this loss of my 100 children? And he had to think, let me think about this. So even Krishna had to think about that, So it's 8:30 now. I wanted to stay to the schedule and just wanted to get people's opinion on how they felt today went with the format that we've used. Do you want to see a different format? Is the format working for you? Wouldn't mind some feedback so we can adapt, change, improve.
I thought the format was great, and very much appreciate all of your time.
Thank you for your time. I know you're a busy person.
Kaushalya?
Yes, Prabhu, I think the format was perfect.
Okay.
Thank you.
Somebody
And the
critical?
explanation was really nice, really enjoyed the whole Bhagavad Gita first chapter.
Thank you so much. Appreciate your feedback. Anybody negative? Because I want to hear the negatives, because then we can improve. Not negative, constructive.
Hare Krishna.
Yes,
Devotees don't criticize, okay?
Constructive
so
criticism.
Yes, thank you. Thank you so much. Very nice, very instructive. It's good, very good. Thank you.
Prabhuji, I know we are, time tied, but if we read the purports, they are really exceptionally well written, and they really make a lot of sense in the current,
yes,
perspective, current lives, and each one of us will benefit a lot by those purports. So I know it will extend us by the time, but that is my suggestion or my request.
It would a little bit too much. But what we're doing, we're taking the essence of the purports with us as well.
In the lessons.
In the lessons and in the summary. So I think you're right. we do have to go through the purports. I would actually encourage devotees, if you're really a little bit serious, to read the purports after the chapter, after the summary, after today. You spend a week reading the purports. That will be really beneficial, and contemplate on how these purports are so instructive. And if you got questions from the purports, happy to field those questions during the session. But I think to go through them now would be, I mean, some of these purports are like 5-6 pages long. Later on, you'll see they're quite long. You know, a whole hour can just go on one purport.
Yeah, and during the week, if you do have any questions that are raised after, you know, you thought about what we've done today, yeah, you're welcome to send us messages and WhatsApp.
So the Sanskrit worked well. So I think Puna Mataji, if everybody's okay for next Thursday, which is Christmas Eve, if nobody's partying, which you can't under Tier 3 anyway. Oh, sorry, next Friday. Oh no, we've got Christmas. Yeah, you're right. Sorry.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Friday. We got Gita Jayanti next Friday. So we won't have a session, but we're going
not in the evening.
Not in the evening, but we're going through the whole Gita from 2 o'clock.
2 p.m. GMT time.
To 8 o'clock roughly. And we've got 2 chapters, which we'd like somebody to cover, 17 and 18. Everything else has been covered. So
this is reciting in Sanskrit.
Reciting in Sanskrit. Oh, Puna
Suggestion, Prabhuji, Hare Krishna.
Yes.
Hare Krishna.
Humble suggestion. If I know Puna Mataji is doing very good, she's reciting nicely, nobody can compete with her or her little daughter. But if we can ask anybody, any verse, if someone want to recite, that also would be good, right?
Maybe, depends on timing and...
No. I mean, while the verse is there, you just ask
I think
anybody.
if you know, give us advance notice, then I'm happy with that. Absolutely. Not that at that moment, I want to chant this verse. If somebody lets us know beforehand,
yes,
then we can
that's what.
Accommodate that, yes.
Encourage everyone in that way also, yeah.
So, Gita Jayanti, I was hoping everybody would be able to join us, at least for some time. I know 6 hours may be a little long for everybody, but if you can join us even for a short period, it'll be very nice.
Yeah, so the format will be, we'll recite the whole chapter in Sanskrit, and then we'll have a 2 to 3 minute summary of that chapter.
Good. And if anybody hasn't sponsored Gitas, please think about doing this place.
Ankit's just sponsored.
Oh, fantastic. So far, we've got a fantastic response, 1,500 Gitas. That's really phenomenal. And this will go to ISKCON Pune, and also there's another local ISKCON temple in India, which Swakesh belongs to. Swakesh is a very nice soul who makes sure that these things actually happen. So I have a lot of trust and faith in that boy, because we've known him for a long time. And he's actually on the ground in India, in Bharat, in Pune and this other place. So we'll be giving books to both sides, because what's happening is we're getting the tax relief on the £30 as well. So that will go also to distribution of Gitas. And they're being distributed to hospitals, libraries, schools, etc. And very, very nice place, nice service. And this is Gita Jayanti. So it's a very nice time to serve like this. If we can give somebody knowledge about who they are, that is the best, yeah. And if anybody has any questions, I mean, I would say we can close the session now, but if anybody does want to stay back and ask any questions, you're very welcome to do so. Anything that's not clear, or if you got any feedback you don't want to give in front of others, happy for you to do on a one-to-one basis. So. Just a few comments. I think the lessons at the end really helped with the understanding of the chapter. Okay, thank you. Who's that? Anamika. And okay, Ashaben, thank you. And yes, Puna Mataji, thank you, Puna Didi, nicely reciting chapter 1. It was beautiful. It's really, really nice. Makes such a difference to us. So
All
thank you.
Krishna Arpanamastu, and all blessings of Krishna.
So we'll meet again in 2 weeks, 2 weeks Friday, and if that's okay, and we'll do half of chapter 2 because it's 72 verses. It's going to be a lot longer. And that's New Year's.
Let me just.
No, New Year's Eve will be Friday.
Oh, it's New Year's Day.
New Year's Day. It's New Year's Day. Is that going to be okay for everybody?
The 1st.
1st of January. What a way to start the new year. Oh, let me stop the recording.
I'm in for the first.
I'm in as well, Prabhu.
Yeah, I think.